Right now, the market is changing because there's not a very big inventory. A lot of people start looking at the fixer-uppers because they're more interested in fixing them up. The prices start going higher. What is a fixer-upper? Well, we're going to talk about fixer-uppers, and there's just a ton of questions to answer. So I'm Ted Thomas, and we're going to talk one at a time and kind of go through a bunch of questions, try to get you some answers. Now, basically, this episode is all about my insight into foreclosure. So it's one viewpoint. There's a lot of viewpoints on foreclosure, that's for sure. So there's so many questions to answer. So let's get started. Should you buy a fixer-upper property? Well, that's going to be up to you. And how do you know which one to buy and which one you're going to be able to sell? All right. So first of all, you have to determine what is a fixer-upper worth, all right? What price should you pay for that fixer-upper? So let's cover a lot of that on this video, and we're often doing it right now. I'm Ted Thomas. I've been involved in a subset of real estate for well over 30 years. It's called tax defaulted property. And what I do is I learn about properties that we can get from the local government, and many of these properties turn out to be used and abused, so you could call those fixer-uppers. So I'm involved in non-traditional real estate. Regular real estate is single-family homes. Sometimes it's small apartments, it's small office buildings, small farms, things like that. So you're getting the idea. So it could be a residential lot. So that's traditional real estate. But if it goes to foreclosure, I'm involved in tax foreclosures. And what does that mean? That means people haven't paid their tax. Guess what? The county's going to foreclose on those properties, and they're going to confiscate it. So those are tax defaulted property, and that's my field of expertise. So I end up seeing a lot of fixer-upper property. So I'm going to try to give you a little insight into that. So I come from regular real estate. I moved over to non-traditional real estate, which is tax defaulted property. And we're going to talk about those properties because there's a ton of fixer-upper properties, okay? So tax defaulted property in many instances has been abused. In other words, it hasn't been taken care of. They haven't taken care of the outside, or they haven't painted it, or maybe even the inside hasn't been taken care of. So those are considered fixer-uppers by many. So what do you want? I don't know. You will probably want a great deal on property. Well, if you're going to buy fixer-uppers, I want you to think about a few things. First of all, the markets change all the time. Right now, the market is changing because there's not a very big inventory. So when you don't have a big inventory, a lot of people start looking at the fixer-uppers because they're more interested in fixing them up, because when there's low inventory, the prices start going higher. So more and more people think about, let's put some sweat equity into a property and do some fixer-upper. All right, so now what's happening is the market is shrinking for fixer-uppers. So that means you've got to look and find out where you're going to buy those. Now, some people go out and drive around and look for fixer-uppers. I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but I can give you a way you can do it right now. There's over 3,000 counties that auction tax defaulted properties. These properties are used and abused. You're going to find tons of fixer-uppers. All right, so the government policy is when the interest rates go up, which is caused by the government pushing the interest rates up, well, what happens? The prices go up, so people want, more and more people are willing to do what I call sweat equity, go out and put their time and effort in it, spend a lot of time at Home Depot buying paint and fixer-upper things, and they start fixing up property. That's called fixer-uppers. So the United States is loaded with properties, and where do you find them? Well, that's the problem. Finding the property is difficult because they're not building enough property, so people have to fix them up. They're pushing the price up. So everywhere you go, there's going to be fixer-uppers. Many of these are going to end up at tax defaulted auctions, so a good place for you to look. All right, now I'm not going to go into depth on tax default right now, but I am going to go into depth and tell you that fixer-upper properties are going to be available at every tax defaulted auction. There'll be 5,000 of those auctions this year. All 3,000 counties are authorized to do it, and some of those counties will have 2 and 3 auctions. All right, so most people pay their tax. When someone doesn't pay their tax, then the county's going to confiscate the property. They're going to sell it at auction. Now, this is a good place to get fixer-uppers because these properties are sold for 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents on the dollar. That's where the starting bids are. Now, I don't know what it's going to sell for because these are public auctions. Anybody can go to the auction and they can bid the price up. Now, the highest bidder is going to win. But when it starts with a 60, 70, or 80% discount, where you got a good chance of getting a fixer-upper at a tax defaulted auction. Now, what kind of properties you're going to get? Just like I said, used and abused. These are classic fixer-upper properties. There's a never-ending source because there's 5,000 auctions over 3,000 counties. Probably something you should learn about. Now, I'm noticing more and more people that do fixers, that do renovations, that are guys and gals that flip properties. I'm noticing more and more of those people are coming to my classes and buying my home study courses. Why are they doing that? Because they're finding out whenever there's a shortage of real estate inventory, the price on all the properties goes up. So the price of some of these fixtures has gone sky high. But a tax defaulted auction, the assessor assesses the value of the property. However, the treasurer, when they sell it, they discount it 60, 70, and 80%. Now, what if you could buy these properties for starting bids of 20%? Now, I don't know what they're going to sell for, but I can tell you this. When you buy a property at auction, there's no mortgage and there's no deed of trust. Now, that doesn't mean there couldn't be a municipal lien, there couldn't be a federal lien, although most properties don't have municipal liens or federal liens on them. But if you checked and there wasn't one, now you're going to get a property without a mortgage or a deed of trust. So that would be the way to buy a fixer-upper property. Now, it's not unusual for people to buy these properties at tax defaulted auction, so you probably want to go ahead and start looking at what's going on in that marketplace so that you can take advantage of it. The low inventory won't go away in the marketplace until they bring the interest rates down, because the builders stay out of the market. So the builders know that they're going to have trouble selling property if the interest rates have gone up, because the people don't want to pay high interest. If there's low interest rates, well, you're going to see a lot of these fixer-upper properties in the market. All right, so if you're going to purchase these properties, keep in mind they're not going to be perfect. There's probably going to be necessary repairs to the roof, to the kitchens, to the bathrooms, to the outside. All right, there's going to be lots of labor. There's going to be lots of trips to Home Depot. If you don't know how to do that work, you better start thinking about someone that can help you make estimates on what it's going to cost. Don't just guess that it's going to be a paint and clean. Paint and cleans have kind of gone away. It takes a little bit more than that nowadays. You're probably going to have to do some bathrooms and some kitchens, and those are the most expensive part of fixing up properties. All right, now there's lots of flippers. There's lots of fixer-upper guys and gals. There's lots of renovators out there. They're all looking for property. So some people come to the tax defaulted auction. They like to buy a property there, and now they have an automatic market to sell those people to. They're going to be able to sell those properties to. You can sell the properties easily to people that want to do the fix-up work. It's not difficult to sell those properties. Now, tax defaulted auctions traditionally have values established on the property by the tax collector. All right, so they've got a value on the property. However, the treasurer is determined to sell the property. And to motivate people to buy, the treasurer discounts the property 60, 70, even 80% from the tax assessed value. So the starting bid could be as low as 10 or 20 cents on the dollar. That doesn't mean the property will always sell at that price. It can sell at a higher price because it's a public auction. Now, if you want to find out about the auctions, all the auctions are noticed at the public records, and you can also find out about them in the newspaper when the public records are going to announce those auctions. Okay, now these resales to the public are going on in all 50 states across the United States. All right, now I didn't create the laws on this. The legislature creates the law that says they can sell these properties for 10 and 20 cents on the dollar with no mortgage and no deed of trust. All right, all of the laws are pushed down from the legislature to the Board of Supervisors, and then they're enforced by the Board of Supervisors and the county commissioners, and they require the treasurer to conduct this auction at least once a year in all counties. As I said, you can find them in a newspaper, and you can find them on the county website. Properties are sold 10 or 20 cents on the dollar. So think about this. If you could buy slightly used and abused properties for 10, 20 cents on the dollar, and then you could put signs on them, or you could call the flippers, or you could call the people that want to do fixers, and you could sell the property for 30 or 40 or 50 cents on the dollar, how many of those would you want to do? Would you want to do as many as you can? And I can tell you right now, there's going to be well over 3,000 auctions every single year. So figure that out. If that would work for you, I can tell you right now, the county wants the money, and that you would have profits that you made, you could take care of your family. All right, now most people are willing to work. If you're willing to work, then you can generate a portfolio of these properties that you're going to call fixer-uppers. We're going to call slightly used and abused. There's going to be a portfolio of those Are you a person that thinks out of the box? Then start thinking about who you're going to sell them to. If you're a problem solver, who are you going to sell them to? All right, now you don't need a fancy license. You don't have to go down and study for weeks to do this, but you have to buy them right at the auction so that you can sell them to other people. So if you can buy for 20 or 30 cents on the dollar, are you willing to sell it for 40, 50, or 60 cents on the dollar and allow someone else to fix it? Or do you want to be the fixer-upper person and do it yourself? Now, it pays to have skills. Now, if you know how to fix property up, that's great. But if you don't know how to fix it up, don't get into this business until you find someone that's going to help you with the bids, because it's going to take time to learn how to quote, to figure out what it's going to cost to paint it, what's a bathroom cost, what's a kitchen cost. You're going to have to clean these houses up because everybody wants the fixer, but they don't want them so much when they find out what it costs to do it. You're not going to get people at 10 cents on the dollar to fix. People now expect to make money. So if you're planning a construction project, you need to know what your expenses are going to do. Plumbing is expensive. Electrical is expensive. Kitchens are expensive. Bathrooms are expensive. Experts know how to figure it out. So you need to accomplish these repairs. So you need to start thinking about that's going to be critical that you know how to do that. So fixer-upper, the big question is, can you easily fix it up? What's it going to cost to fix it up? How are you going to get it back out into the marketplace? There are lots of videos on YouTube that'll show you how to fix properties. So there's the place that'll give you some good background. Now beware, if the buyer is selling, why is the buyer selling it? All right, if you're buying at these auctions, I can guarantee you they're used and abused. They're not going to be new, pristine properties. So if you don't know what you're doing, you better learn that before you start buying at these auctions. All right, I'm about to finish up this video, but I want to tell you that right below me, there's an interactive map and auction calendar. If you look at the map, you'll see white circles. When you see the white circles, that means that's where an auction is going to take place. This interactive map will show you auctions in every state. It changes every single day. So if you want to know about tax defaulted property, how many there are and where they are, you just go right to this map. A demo of it's right below me on today's page.